There's something that we value here at Saint Matthias that is specifically our local fire department. And we pray for them every Sunday. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the reasons why we do that. So let's go out on the porch really quickly and I'll describe why they're so important to us. Our fire department is really important to us for a couple of reasons. For one thing, for the obvious. I mean, clearly, everyone wants to be able to dial 911 and know that an emergency rescue is on the way. Not every country can boast this, and we're particularly spoiled here in the United States that you can call upon emergency services and have some expectation that someone is coming. You'll be able to call 911, get a hold of a dispatcher. Typically, that person is well trained to deliver information, to keep you calm, to help you with next steps, to get the right information so they know who to send. But it's oftentimes one of the things we don't think about is, and particularly who doesn't think about this, are the firefighters themselves. And that is that every call, every 911 call, every emergency that they respond to really started with prayer. And I'll explain what I mean. Whether people realize it or not, whether they are conscious of it or not, or even or specifically thought about it, if the emergency arises, they do not dial 911, but that's not really the first call that they made. The first call they made, somewhere deep in their brain, they screamed out, "God help me." And whether they're conscious of it or not, they did. The first call that went was to God. And then they may have had the wherewithal to dial 911 and get emergency services coming. But really, after the call center and the dispatcher relay that information to the apparatus, the station, law enforcement, whoever needs to come, there's an apparatus personnel and people show up on scene and respond to the emergency. But those are just the logistics of getting their prayer answered. And I've seen it. I've been on those calls. I've been a fire chaplain for many years. And I've been on those calls, and I can tell from someone's posture that when the crew shows up, people have the posture, they have the attitude, they have the countenance of someone who's just watching their prayer get answered in real time. They're watching God deploy someone in their time of need. And it's obvious that their prayer was answered because here they are. And one of the reasons that made me very excited about being a fire chaplain years ago is that many ministers go their entire career and never get a chance to watch prayer answered in real time like that. It's miraculous. You think about all the different ways in which governments can be somewhat inefficient and things don't talk to one another and one hand doesn't know what the other is doing. Yet when someone called, say when their house is on fire or something's gone on with an emergency, and all of a sudden now, in that moment when they called 911 and someone with a reassuring voice got their information and dispatched the apparatus with the emergency personnel, all of a sudden geographic information systems were brought to bear. Possibly the water system came together. All the very intricate and complicated machinery that the responders had to bring with them, the training that they had to go through, all of the resources that had to overlap and coordinate in order for it to respond to that person's call. It's really rather miraculous. In a day and age when so much doesn't function well, the fact that so many things happen right for your prayer to be answered, and when you called out to God and then called 911, they came. In that manner where His grace is deployed in a person's greatest time of need. And that's why I always loved riding the apparatus and riding on calls with fire departments, because I always tell them, I really have no idea what benefit I am to you, but here's the benefit you are to me. I get to watch God work through you regularly, constantly, and that's just a privilege. I had a front row seat of watching God respond and answer people's prayers in real time like that. So that's why our department is very near and dear to our hearts. It has been for me everywhere I've ministered. I mean, I've been in a couple of different places where I've served in Christian ministry. And each time it was my privilege to be able to get close to the local fire department and watch them deploy God's grace in the time of people's greatest need. And so at Saint Matthias Anglican Church, we have a deep affection for Dothan Fire Department. And we, as a cycle, pray for a different station every Sunday to make sure that we are well connected with them. And we want God's grace to extend to them, because while they are conduits of God's grace in the time of need, they also need it as well. And we keep our firefighters and our first responders in prayer because of how they respond to emergencies that they now must navigate themselves, and then go home to their families, even in the midst of the dangers that they've had to endure. So we hope that you will join us in always keeping our fire department, specifically Dothan, but anywhere you may be watching this, keeping your fire department in prayer, because quite frankly, they are a physical and visible manifestation of God's grace deployed to people in the time of greatest need, because that's something we always pray. People always pray that God will be ready and available, quick to respond in time of rest, in time of need. So many of the Psalms have this same theme. And, well, we have to make sure that we keep those people keep always being in prayer, that God watches over them, who keep watch over us. Anyway, thank you for joining me on the porch. I hope you have a blessed day.